Hey, how's it going? It's been a little over a week. I posted a message on Twitter and here on YouTube that I had some stuff going on in my personal life with my family that I needed to tend to. And I just wasn't really in a spot where I was wanting to make videos. And I'm not going to get into it in this video because, frankly, it's none of your business, and I don't need to talk about it. I'm fine, and I'm doing okay, but I wanted to sort of just have an honest talk about YouTube, because during this time, whenever I have to not make videos, and I think that this is something that most content creators, whether it's, streaming or making videos or whatever, they feel this, guilt when they have to stop making videos for kind of any reason. Whether that reason is taking time away to spend with family, or if you had some sort of loss, or even if you're just going and taking a vacation. Whatever it is, I feel like most content creators here on the internet feel guilty when you take a break. And that's not good. And that's just something that I sort of wanted to talk about today. And I wanted to talk about how I think that should change, and the reality of being a YouTuber or a creator on the internet, and what comes along with being a creator on the internet, and the different pressures that come along with that. Because it's something that I thought a lot about, because during this time I did feel really guilty that I wasn't making videos. I haven't posted a video in over a week now, and I feel terrible about it. But I've done a lot of thinking about that particular thing, and I've also watched a few things that talked about it, and so I wanted to give you my thoughts on it. So before I get into it, I do want to say that the video that I saw that inspired me to talk about my views on this was a great video by Lindsay Ellis. I'll leave it in the description below, so go and check that out. It's a video I say that she made called Manufacturing Authenticity, and it's about all of this kind of stuff, how with being a creator on the internet, and whether you're streaming or doing YouTube or whatever, you have to sort of sell a version of yourself, and it's really weird. It brought a lot of interesting thoughts to my mind, and it made me think a whole lot about this whole YouTube thing, and about my job and everything like that. But she puts everything way more eloquently than I ever could, so definitely go and check out her video, because I have a list of things that I want to say, but I also know myself, and I will probably ramble a lot and repeat the same thing over and over again. She's a fantastic writer and a fantastic content creator, and she made a really great video that explains it better than I ever could. So please go and watch that video. And that's the video that sort of inspired me to talk about my views on all of this. Okay, where do I even want to start? I don't know. I think the first thing that I want to talk about is the idea of being a YouTuber or a streamer or whatever. I'll just use YouTuber as sort of a blanket statement, because that's mostly what I am. And a lot of the stuff that I'm going to talk about applies to streamers and other creators on the internet. So let's start off with the idea of being a YouTuber and what most people think of when they think of somebody who is a YouTuber. I feel like whenever people talk about people being YouTubers, they automatically think of privilege in some kind of way. Don't get me wrong, being a YouTuber is really cool, and it's a really great job, and I'm very fortunate to be able to be in the position that I'm in. But being a YouTuber and making videos for a living does not mean that, one, it's easy, because it's not. Two, that it's fantastic all of the time, because it absolutely is not. Three, that you love it all the time, because that's also not true. And I think that that's something that a lot of people are really afraid to talk about. Again, I love making videos, and I'm so fortunate to be able to do this as a job. But sometimes I hate it, which is a really weird thing for me to say. And I don't think that people who are in a similar position as me say that a lot. Because if you say that sometimes you hate your job, then you come off as ungrateful, and you come off as fake, because every day you're making these videos, and you're, a lot of people have this personality that they put on, where they're a lot more excitable, and they're a lot more positive and everything. And, because why wouldn't I be, Just like any person, I have good days and I have bad days. Just like anybody with a job, sometimes you love your job, and sometimes you just really fucking don't want to go to work. And that's okay. And I want more people to realize that, who are in the position of being a content creator, is that you don't have to love this all of the time, and no one should expect you to love it all of the time. Yeah, you are very fortunate to be able to do what you do, and it is really fun. And from an outsider's perspective, it does seem like a really easy thing. You're just going around making videos every day and you're posting it. You're not really doing any physical labor. For a lot of people, you just have to stay at home. You get to work from home. A lot of people get to make their own schedule. A lot of people are their own boss entirely. You have a lot of freedom, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't suck sometimes. This is something that Lindsay touched on in her video. While most of the time making YouTube videos isn't physical labor, it is a huge emotional labor. And I think that's something that people forget sometimes, is that dealing with emotions can be physically exhausting. Think about any time that you've been stressed out or that you've had to mourn because of the loss of a loved one or whatever. You're so tired. You're so tired all the time because you're just like, you're emotionally so spent that your body just like has a physical reaction of that. Like you can't get out of bed or you just have no energy or whatever. You can't eat, you can't sleep, but you're tired all the time. And sometimes that happens with making videos too. And I think that that's something that we've seen a lot in these past couple of years with people burning out on YouTube, is that people forget that keeping up the sort of facade, it's not, it's hard to describe because it's not entirely fake, but it's also not entirely real either. People who watch YouTubers, you see them every day or every week or every month or whatever, and you see the side of them that seems very personal, and it seems like you're getting to know the person. And in a way you are, but I think people forget that you're only seeing the side that the creator is letting you see. They're putting out a version of themselves that they think their audience will benefit most from, and that like their like career will benefit most from. And it makes sense, and it doesn't mean that it's fake, because if I'm having a bad day and I want to make a video, why would you want to see somebody who's sad like playing video games? Do you know what I mean? It doesn't make any sense. Why would I record myself in a shitty mood? No one's going to want to watch that. And like, I'm not going to want to make that either. It doesn't make sense. So it's not necessarily that people are being fake, but you have to remember that you're not seeing, you don't really know that person. You don't know what they're going through on a day-to-day basis. You only see what they show you in that 10-minute, 20-minute, 30-minute video, whatever it is. And while I'm not being fake in my videos, CrankGameplays isn't Ethan Nestor. CrankGameplays is a version, it's like a hyper-exaggerated version of myself. And what I'm showing you right now is sort of more of a real me, sort of, I don't know. And it's not a decision that I consciously made either. When I started making videos, I wasn't like, oh, I'm going to create like a character, sort of. That wasn't something that I worked on, you know? It happened naturally, and it was just like, oh, this version of myself is best to put out there and best on camera and stuff like that. Because again, if I'm having a bad day, nobody wants to see that. The version that I'm showing you isn't entirely me, but it's not entirely fake either. And the scary thing about that is that like me making this video right now is like me taking sort of a risk. And like, I know my community really well, at least I would like to think that I do. And I know that a lot of you guys will understand what I'm saying, but there are still people that won't understand. And there will still be people that at the end of this video will be like, oh, Ethan's a fucking fake. Like, I'm not gonna watch his videos anymore. He's trying to like use his audience and manipulate us and blah, 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 blah. Because he's not showing us the real him. But I am sort of taking some sort of risk because I'm like breaking the fourth wall in a sense and like showing you a little bit of like what's behind the curtain. And I think that it's sort of scary sometimes when, and as people on the internet, we sort of dug ourselves into this hole with consistency, in that everybody sort of expects content to be coming out all the time, whether it's on YouTube or posting tweets or posting stuff on Instagram or whatever you're doing. There's this standard that's been set that you have to be updating people all the time on everything. Whenever I go out, I'm always like, oh, I should post this on Instagram, or I should make a tweet about this or whatever. And it's sort of sad, where it's just like, oh, I constantly feel the need to share this thing with my audience. And there's so much overlap now that it's hard. It's hard because I don't feel like I think for myself anymore, really. And this is like, don't read into this way too much. I don't want people to think that like, I don't even know what I'm saying. I don't want people to think that I'm not doing it because, or that I'm doing it because I feel obligated to necessarily. And I mean, there is a sense of obligation. This is all, you gotta bear with me. This is all very hard for me to describe, and I think that a lot of people who are YouTubers will sort of get what I'm saying, but sometimes I feel like I'm not really posting stuff for myself anymore, as far as like, especially with like social media. There is a pressure to be like, oh, I should tweet, or if I'm out doing something, I'm like, oh, I should take a photo and post this on Instagram, instead of like taking photos for myself just to keep as memories. It's like, oh no, everything has to be posted. Everything has to be shared with the whole world all the time. I think that's not only a YouTuber thing, that's like a thing in general that people nowadays sort of suffer with. It's just like the constant need to share things on the internet and the constant like you're just kind of like throwing shit into a void, honestly. I kind of got off track. I don't really know what I'm talking about anymore, but I have a whole list of things. So let's just go on to the next thing. Did I complete that thought? I don't know, because I can't remember what I was talking about before. I was talking about a little bit before of how YouTubers are sort of expected to like keep up appearances, sort of. You know, you're always expected to be posting every day or every week or whatever your schedule is, and you're always sort of expected to be like excitable and happy and positive and everything like that. And how sometimes that's not your actual truth. Sometimes you don't want to make a video. There's so many times, like this past week, I'm really proud of myself in a way that I stopped making videos, because I was just like, I don't want to. And that doesn't mean that I'm being disingenuine. It means that I'm being very genuine. It means that currently I'm not willing to like fake being happy for the sake of making videos. It's like I don't have the emotional energy to do that right now. So I'm not going to. But now I sort of feel like part of the job, and this goes for everybody, part of the job is sort of like part of the job is like trying to love the job in a sense. And again, I want to make sure people know I do genuinely love making videos. I'm not even going to apologize anymore for it. I'll say it one last time, but I do genuinely love making videos. I'm super thankful for the things that I have and for the audience that I have. And I love making stuff, and I'm very, very fortunate. But that doesn't mean that it's great all the time, because nothing is great all the time. And it gets really hard too, because like if you're an artist, like, you know, you go through art block or writer's block or whatever. And instead of being able to take a lot of breaks, I feel like YouTubers are just sort of like expected to push through all of that nonstop. And I'm glad that it's getting more acceptable for people to take breaks, and a lot of people's communities are like, yo, you should take a vacation. But, you know, like, there are so many people that have posted so consistently for such a long time with no breaks, and you just work yourself to the bone, and it's really not healthy. It's really, really not healthy. And for some people, like, when they're sad or going through shit, sometimes, like, that is a coping mechanism to, like, go and dive even deeper into, like, the thing that you're passionate about. But I don't think that that should be expected of everybody. I don't think it's fair. And I know that it's not a conscious thing that audiences do. They're not like, hey, we need more content all the time. I mean, some people do that. But I think a lot of communities now are a lot more accepting and being like, yo, you should take a vacation, or like, yeah, you can take a break. It's all good. We'll still be here. But that doesn't mean that the pressure is gone. I know that you guys are very understanding and very supportive of me taking breaks from my brain, or just taking breaks in general. But that doesn't mean that the pressure is gone. This whole past week, I still was like, fuck, I don't have a video for today. I don't have a video for tomorrow. I didn't post a video yesterday. Like, that still is like going through my mind of like, shit, stuff isn't going out. And like, not only am I not pleasing the audience, I'm also not pleasing the algorithm. And that's something that's not as forgiving as a community is. There's always this pressure to keep up with the algorithm, because the algorithm likes consistency, and it likes more content going out as much as it can be. You know, it likes certain lengths of videos, it likes certain kinds of videos, blah, 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 blah. So there's always this pressure to not only please your audience, but also please the algorithm and please the platform. And so while you guys may understand, hey, I need to take a break, YouTube doesn't give a fuck. YouTube does not care. And I think that that's sort of where the pressure comes in, is like where it's like, okay, like, I don't feel like I emotionally like should make videos right now because of whatever. But then you still have those thoughts of, oh shit, like every day that you don't post is a missed opportunity. I think about this a lot. It's like in this past year, I've missed a lot of days of uploading. And it was like, what would be happening if I had uploaded every single day? Like, where would the channel be? How big would the community be? Blah, 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 blah. It's super hard. It's super hard thinking that way. And I don't like that I do think that way. But, you know, I think that, and I used to be one of these people. And I think that it hits a little bit more hard when you do YouTube full time. But I think that any YouTuber that says that they don't care about numbers is lying to a certain extent. Everybody wants to see their stuff do good. You know, even if that's not their motivation, like, hey, I want my channel to get really big, or I want this video to get 1 million views or whatever. If you get 20 views a video and then suddenly one of your videos gets 1,000 views, you're going to feel really good about it and you're going to be really excited about it. Why wouldn't you be? Your video is getting more attention. And I'm not saying that I care about numbers all the time and that's what motivates me, but it is a bigger factor now, especially because it's my job, because the amount of attention that videos get and like the amount of views and the amount of subs and stuff, it all correlates to like how much money you bring in. And that's something that like, that's another big like stigma on YouTube, is that people are like, oh, you're getting sponsorships, like you're selling out and blah, 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 blah. And you're doing these kind of videos to like try and get more views and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, but that's not selling out. It gets really hard to explain because like at some point you have to do things that are in your business best interest, you know? And I would never do anything like that I didn't like believe in or whatever, but I think it really sucks that there is this stigma of like trying to like make things grow, I guess, because it is something that you have to think about, especially when you're doing it for your job. Like the numbers matter a lot because that's how you pay your bills. And I'm really glad that more recently, in these past few years, like sponsorships, people have been a lot more open to sponsorships. Because like you got to keep the lights on, dude. And like, especially in the spot where YouTube is in now, like to be completely honest with you guys, most of my income is through merch, which currently I don't have a merch store, but that was like a huge portion of my income, and sponsorships. Like YouTube ad revenue is really, really low compared to what it used to be, especially because like, and this happened with a lot of channels where like seemingly overnight or in like a month's time sort of, shit just dropped a lot, like a lot. And so I am glad that the stigma behind getting sponsorships and stuff is starting to die away a little bit. It's still there, and it still sort of sometimes feels weird being like, oh, I'm doing like a sponsored video and stuff like that. But I do appreciate that you guys understand that more. It's a lot of pressure trying to please, you know, not only yourself to make sure that you're making stuff that you like and that makes you happy, but you're also trying to please your community, and you're trying to please the algorithm now, and you're like, there's a lot of pressure from a lot of different angles, and sometimes it gets just like a little bit too much, and it's just like, okay, I don't really know what's going on right now. And then when it gets to that point where I'm making videos like this, where I'm like, hey, like sometimes I'm not happy on YouTube, or sometimes I think I want to take a break and stuff like that, then it gets a little scary, because then it seems like I'm not grateful. And this was another thing that Lindsay Ellis pointed out in her video, is that people get angry when a YouTuber isn't 100% grateful 100% of the time. And that sucks. Yes, I'm super grateful for the audience that I have, and I'm super grateful for what's happened on YouTube. But that doesn't mean that there's not issues that happen, and that doesn't mean that I don't have bad days. And it sucks that when I complain, I feel like, because I get to make videos for a living, and I think that a lot of people who are in a similar spot as I am will feel this a lot. I feel like because I'm able to make videos and sort of have like my dream job in a sense, that I'm not allowed to complain, because there's a lot of people that have it way worse, which is true. Absolutely. I'm super, super fortunate to be where I am. I'm acknowledging that, you know, But that doesn't mean that there's not issues. And that doesn't mean that I'm like, I just feel like I'm not allowed to complain. Something that I've seen a lot is like, oh, I hate that like I put no effort into this one video, it gets a bunch of views, and then I put a bunch of effort into this other video, it gets no views. And then people are like, well, you get to do it as your job, so like, why are you complaining? Like, no matter what, like, you're making videos for a living. It's like, yeah, okay. Or like, you know, like getting demonetized. It's like, ah, this sucks, like this video got demonetized and it's not getting any ads or anything, and people are like, oh, well, like, you know, like, blah, blah, blah. Great examples, Ethan. Really good examples. But it sucks. It sucks when, why are YouTubers not allowed to complain? Yeah, they have cool jobs, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't suck sometimes. And that doesn't mean that it's not hard sometimes. People think that YouTube is just this really easy thing, and it's not. It's not easy. From an outsider's point of view, yeah, specifically with like what I do, like, I get to sit around and play video games or like go and react to whatever or make like funny sketches and stuff. Yeah, you're not sitting like at an office job doing like mindless work. You're not like out doing like manual labor stuff. So it doesn't seem as hard, but it is emotionally really taxing sometimes. Doing stuff that's like when you're trying to be creative is really hard, because sometimes the creative juices just aren't there, and it's really frustrating. And then again, that pressure comes in that's like, oh, you need to get a video out because you need to be posting every day. And sometimes it's just like, shit, like I don't know what to do today. And then you just feel awful. And on top of that, you feel sort of, at least I do, sort of feel responsible for other people's emotions in a sense. And I've gotten a lot better about it in this past year or so. I think I've started to understand it more and understand that like I am not responsible for how other people feel or how other people deal with things. But when you get a whole lot of comments being like, Ethan, like your videos help me get out of a depression, or your videos like make me happy every day, I'm going through a really hard time and your videos have been helping me out. Like, that's so fucking cool. That's so cool that my videos can help with that. And like, I am so grateful that like the stuff that I make can make you guys feel like that. But also sometimes it's like, ah, shit, if I don't post a video, then like I'm directly like affecting people's moods because I wasn't like there for them that day. And again, throughout this whole video, like I'm probably not explaining this stuff very well, and I'm rambling a lot, and I have a list of shit, but I'm sort of going off topic a little bit. But it's really hard feeling responsible for people's emotions, and especially when you get stuff like when you try and interact with the community, it just like, I feel like no matter what I do, it's never enough. And that's the part that's really hard. No matter how many videos I post, no matter how many tweets I respond to, no matter how much, like, whatever, it's never enough. You know, I used to go and reply to every single comment for a while, and I used to go and respond to a ton of tweets every day, and I used to be on Tumblr all the time. And the thing that would happen, and like, I would go to conventions all the time, and I would meet people all the time. And even then, I would try and meet as many people as I possibly could, or respond to as many tweets as I possibly could, but it was never enough, because there was always somebody that got left out, and it was always like, oh, why didn't you respond to my tweet? Or, oh no, I couldn't meet you, blah, blah, blah. Or like, you responded to all of these comments on the video, but you didn't respond to my comment, and I'm sad today. And I get it. And it does suck when you feel a little left out, and it does suck when you go to a convention and you want to meet somebody and then you don't get the chance to meet them. But you have to understand that I am one person. I'm one person, and I'm trying to do that for everybody, especially in the convention setting. It's really hard sometimes when it's like, you know, you're doing a signing for 2, 3, sometimes 4 hours, and you're meeting as many people as you can, and you're really trying to do your best, and you're trying to make sure everybody has a positive experience, because I would never want to meet somebody and then after see them be like, oh yeah, I met Ethan, but like it kind of sucked. He was kind of a dick. Like, I would never want that to happen. I would feel so bad. You know, we try really hard to meet everybody, and we try to please everybody, whether it's at a convention or whether we're responding or just making videos in general. We try and do our best, the best that we can. And a lot of times it seems like nothing is ever enough. And that just sucks sometimes. And you have to remember that, like, in those situations, like meeting people, And I love meeting you guys. Meeting you guys is so cool, and it's so great to put a face to the name. Like I recognize a lot of people's usernames and stuff like that, and it really puts things into perspective when it's like, you know, the channel is almost at 1 million subs now. It's at like 700 something, and you know, seeing like 1,000 people over a weekend really puts things into perspective, because it's like, that is a ton of people, but you know, that is not even close to how big the channel is as a whole. I hope that you guys understand what I'm trying to say. I hope that you don't think that I'm just being ungrateful. And I mean, it's an endless circle of like, oh, I don't want to act like I'm ungrateful because I'm not ungrateful, but then I sound ungrateful and blah, 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 blah. And like, oh, I'm not allowed to be like, I have to be 100% grateful all 100% of the time. That doesn't make any sense. Ugh. And then you just sound like you're fake. You just sound like you're fake. And it just comes to, you know, if you break that sort of like fourth wall and you come out here and say like, hey guys, like, you know, like, this is exhausting emotionally sometimes, and sometimes I don't like making videos, and sometimes I wake up and I'm like, I just really don't want to fucking do this today. Like, maybe a different day, but not today. Then you're sort of like, when you break that like character of being like, I love YouTube all the time, it's the best thing in the world, then you're sort of breaking the trust between you and the community, and they feel like they can't trust you anymore because you're like, oh, you're like being fake or whatever. I don't know. It's hard because I feel like I think that's something that people don't really think about a lot, is that, you know, you guys all watch me. Like when you guys are watching my videos or anybody's videos, you are watching one person, or if it's like a group channel, maybe like up to 5 people, whatever. You're watching a very small amount of people. For me specifically, you are watching me. You are watching one person, and you are like interacting with one person. But for me, I'm addressing 700,000 people, and it's impossible to give everybody a personal connection. Do you know what I mean? Because I feel like you guys know me really well, but I don't really know anything about most of you. And it's a very weird dynamic to navigate. And like when you try and navigate that, sometimes it comes across as like being inauthentic or not being genuine or not being grateful or whatever. Like there was not to call this person out, but like at PAX East again, we were doing, I was doing a panel and I was doing a little Q&A, and 2 people in a row came up and were like, hey, do you remember me from Friday? Like I saw you, and I said yes. And they did look familiar, but you know, again, I meet so many fucking people over the course of a weekend. And so I said yes. And then a third person came up and was like, do you remember me from Friday? And I said yes. And then they said, joke's on you, I wasn't here on Friday. And it's like, okay, well, like, I can't remember everybody all the time. And it just, I felt really shitty. And I don't like blame this person, you know, like if you're watching this, it's all good. It doesn't matter. But I'm just using this as an example. You know, it makes me feel shitty because then it makes me look like I'm a liar. Because it's like, oh, Ethan actually doesn't really care. He's just going to say whatever to please his audience or whatever. It's just like, I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with this. But I wanted to have this more honest chat about YouTube, and I don't want this to all be negative. And again, I'll say it again, I love what I do, and I'm so grateful to be able to make videos and to be able to do this as my job. And I'm so grateful to this community who has stuck by me for the past almost 7 years. The channel will be turning 7 years in August, which is super weird, so crazy. And I'm so happy that like the channel has come as far as it has, and this community has grown as much as it has. And so many of you guys are so fucking cool and so understanding. And I'm really, really lucky to have the community that I do. And people say that to me all the time. I have so many people that, like, so many friends that are like, dude, you have a really good community. Like, they're all super rad and they're all really understanding. And I am very grateful. There's a lot of really toxic communities out there, and you guys aren't one of them. And I do genuinely love this, and I love making stuff. But I think it's important that we bridge the gap sometimes, and that we break the fourth wall a little bit and be like, hey, just a reminder, like, I am a person too. And sometimes like I go through tough times, or sometimes I'm just like having a rough day, or maybe sometimes I'm not even having a rough day, but I just don't feel like making a video today. And that's okay. That doesn't mean that I'm being disingenuous. That doesn't mean that I'm being fake. It just means that like I have other interests as well, and I shouldn't be like, I shouldn't feel bad for not wanting to do this 100% of the time and put all of my time and all of my energy into it. No one should feel bad for that. And if you are a YouTuber or a streamer or a content creator or whatever, you should not feel bad for not loving your job 100% of the time, because it is a really fucking cool job, and we all are really lucky to be doing this, because, you know, the window for all of this stuff is probably getting smaller. Nobody's going to be able to do this forever. So, you know, do it while you can. But also, you know, like, you deserve to take a break, and you deserve to like be real with your audience and be like, hey guys, like, I'm just not feeling up to it today. Or like, hey, I just want to do something else, or whatever. It doesn't make you fake if you... It doesn't make you fake if you say that, like, that you just don't feel like doing it that day. In fact, it makes you more real, because then you're being honest with yourself and you're being honest with your audience. So anyway, that's a bit of what I wanted to say. Very long-winded. I was probably very repetitive. Again, go in the link and check out Lindsay Ellis's video. She put it way more eloquently than I did. And she provided a lot more facts, and she talked about different like research studies that were done. It's a really, really solid video, and it really made me think. If any of you guys out there are YouTubers or streamers or whatever, I highly recommend that you watch it. It really, really made me think a lot. Yeah, and I hope that this video made you guys understand a little bit more. And I hope that, I also hope that you guys don't, like, leave this being like, oh, you did so sad all the time! I'm not. I just want to be a little bit more real. And with this past week, I did a lot of thinking, and I was like, I don't want to feel guilty for taking time off. That's dumb. And I am excited to get back into making videos, and hopefully I can make some real cool stuff real soon. So thank you guys so much for being so understanding and so patient. Let me know what your thoughts are. I'd love to go through the comments on this video and see what your thoughts are on this. So write me some novels to read down there. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you later. All right, bye.